discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Anachrony. So I don't think you don't like this game?
Not really.
How come?
I don't know.
It's kind of a dude game.
Kinda?
You think?
I guess.
Putting things together, and I don't know. I mean, not to be like genderist, but I mean, more than likely, well, I mean, women enjoy more like character development and that kind of thing. Well, this has none of that.
Considering one of my favorite games is Dream Home.
Yeah, no, this game is definitely very, very thanky, and you have to plan way ahead, which makes sense to the theme. You have to plan ahead,
right.
And also sometimes behind.
Time travel.
See what I did there? So okay, let's talk about the things we don't like first.
What do we not like?
I can start.
I'm thinking I don't like worker placement.
You like Submerg?
Or
One game.
Yeah, that's worker placement. We don't play a lot of worker placement games. Like, do you like Orleans?
It's okay.
Okay. Do you like this better than Orleans?
No, I like Orleans better.
I
think theme has a lot to do with it. I think Devin's right.
You don't like... Oh, man, I love this theme.
The theme is... No, I mean the theme... Okay, so...
Like no characters. There's no... You know.
Yeah, you just have people. Like, you just have a colony of people. No
Yeah.
specific, hey, this is my person. It's just, I have scientists, I have... And that actually draws a lot of people away from worker placement. It's just like... You try to be thematic with, oh, I'm going to get this ore, I'm going to spend this, and calling cubes and stuff by their names does help. Inherently, but yeah, if you're just like, oh, I just need 3 blue, even that statement will draw you out of it.
Medium.
So, okay, so you don't like the fact that it's just people.
I want to say, because at first I was like, I don't like that it's time travel. That's not it. I do like time travel. I don't know. I mean, it could just be that I wasn't feeling it tonight, or because I mean, like, it didn't feel like it dragged on, and that's usually how you know I really don't like a game.
Yeah. Were you invested the entire time?
Not really.
Not really?
Yeah.
I think we can tell with your 31 point. No kidding.
I say, I mean, definitely when the first time we played this game, it certainly has, it's a lot to take in from the get-go.
Yes.
And it would be very difficult to get new people to play this game because it is initially very overwhelming.
How long was it for our first game?
It took, I want to say it probably took around the same time, maybe if not, because the game really isn't that long.
2 hours, so that depends.
Like about 2 hours, which it says 30 minutes per player, so it's pretty close, which is good. Maybe it took 3 hours for the first game.
I just remember the first time being drained. I didn't like.
Yeah, I remember just sitting like, oh my god, and I did very well. But yeah, there's a lot of in this game if you don't plan way ahead and efficiently use your workers more than other worker placement games, I would say, you're gonna shit the bed. You're gonna be like, oh my god.
Last turn I was like, I haven't evacuated yet, and I can't build that super project because that requires this.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, the very last turn I meant to build something, but I forgot to put someone. I needed an ore.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and that's what I was
and
like,
I was out of cores, so I was like, shit.
Yep, that was another thing. So it's just like, it's a very strategic and tactful game where every move matters. So maybe that's why. Because you have to think way ahead.
Yeah.
Like, there was one time, actually it was like second or third round in the game where I was like, oh, all my workers are going to come back tired. I have to keep one person back. And so all I did that turn was go and recruit someone. And that was it. And I was like, alright, that's my turn. This entire era is recruiting because everyone else is exhausted. And then the next turn, I did a super move. So I kind of made up for it. But still, then they all come back tired. I gotta say, like, so it just didn't click for you.
Yeah, not really.
So the thing that I don't like, and I don't really like this in a lot of games, because it is very difficult to bring new people in. It's it's not evocative in the sense that when you have everything, every action, every card, every tile, everything have icons on it.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's great when you've played it, because you just look at it, you're like, oh, that's what that means. But to sit here and be like, okay, hey, this icon means scientist. This icon, by the time you're down to engineer, they're like, what?
I remember that first game. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I almost get borderline mad when I see too many icons because I'm like, how is this fucking? Sorry, tokens. Sorry. I'm like, how is that fucking fun? Like to anybody to be like, man, you know what? They went overload on icons. Like,
yeah. It's like it's a very like you toe the line with either you do icons and have them learn the icons. 'Cause then yes, eventually you just look and you know. Or do you do a lot of text? But then a lot of text can be a lot because sometimes it doesn't fit and they don't tell you everything. So you're trying to do things and you play the game completely wrong.
So that being said, sometimes it's just too heavy. It's like, why did you have to have so much? Like
this is definitely a very, very heavy game.
Yeah. And I think that's really what I don't enjoy at the end of the day. So like literally at the end of the day, and I know what we're doing, but so I just don't want to play those kinds of games.
That's
like
fair.
after the night I had with my drawer being off, and I came home and I was tired, and to play a heavy game, it's just like you have to be in the mood. So I think that's what killed it for me.
And that's fair. Like that's a lot of people's complaint. A lot of people will not enjoy this game because it is a very heavy worker placement game.
Still gonna give it a fair score though.
Sweet.
The
other thing I don't like, and this is very minor because it didn't affect this game, but the first game, the rules tell you to intentionally leave out sections when you're learning the game.
But it doesn't tell you when to.
And it doesn't tell you, well, it tells you, oh, hey, whenever you understand this other phase, tell them that phase. And so I was just worried, like, hey, here's 6 phases. And I was like, well, I told you not to mention it till later on.
Yeah.
But the problem is you need to plan the entire time to finish your thing. And if you don't do that, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So it's like...
So the thing about that, are you done?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, other than that, the rules are pretty good. Just that part I don't like.
Yeah. So clinging to that part, because I do remember that, and I was mad about that.
Really?
Because it's basically just like, hey, ask, like, it's the mindset of, like, I cannot ask you what I do not know. Like, I don't even know where to begin. That's like me being like, oh, hey, I'm supposed to do X. It's like, I don't know how to verbalize that because I didn't ever know about it. So it's like...
Right, yeah. You couldn't be like... Because normally every time as I'm stepping through the rules, I'm like, any questions, any questions? If it tells me not to tell you...
I don't even know.
You don't know what to ask,
yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, Devin, do you have anything you don't like about the game? Because I'm about to go into things I like.
Yeah. No, there's not too much that I don't like. That's why the score is still going to be very fair.
I mean,
I have a
don't like
one.
that it's steep to get into.
Yeah.
Would you say
my main complaint? I mean, to me, it's not too bad a complaint. I mean, do I look forward to playing this game? I mean, it's.
Would you say if I was like, hey, we're gonna play Anachrony tonight, would you still have the same reaction that you did like earlier today? Would it still be like, oh no, because we haven't played this game since because you guys were so daunted by it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it clicked for me, but most games do. And I was like, okay, yeah.
You read the part of the rules that we didn't get.
And I read the rules. I read the rules again.
Yeah.
And once I read it again, I was like, oh, yeah, this game's simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
It's just
just initially.
So many symbols.
Yeah, and that's because it's not only just here's actions you can do here. Oh, only if you do an exosuit. Okay, well now let me tell you about board action you can do, and the only way you can do actions on there is if you build buildings.
Yeah.
And how you build buildings is going out onto the board.
And do you know what's shitty about the symbols? That not only are there symbols on the symbols.
Yeah, but like I said, when you look at them, you're like, that's what that means.
Yeah, second game was a lot easier. The first game, me and Devin, there was a whole lot of I didn't know that going on. Like, you didn't say that, and it's not your fault. It's the...
Right. So if the only complaint for us all pretty much is that your first game is going to be pretty garbage.
Yeah.
After that, it'll click.
You gotta really dedicate some time being patient with it. And
yeah, it's definitely, your first game is definitely going to be a learning game. You're going to sit here for a while. Because it's not one of those games like Fallout where we played half the game and we got it.
Right.
This one, you pretty much have to play the whole thing to understand the impact and then how the game's going to end.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there is one thing. Maybe it's phrasing, but it's more of a thematic thing where when you evacuate, that doesn't end the game. You're just preparing to evacuate up until the capital actually crumbles and you leave. or you run out of time and then the meteor destroys everything and then you leave.
You're basically getting in line.
Doing this, you're getting in line
Yeah.
to leave. That's actually really what it is.
Yeah.
And then whoever goes last is like, wait, oh shit!
Oh, were you guys evacuating?
Yeah. So it's just kind of a thematic thing. Maybe the word evacuate is the wrong choice of word.
Yeah.
Prepare would probably be better.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, okay, and then you'll get your points.
Even if they had just said prepare the evacuation, it
Be
would.
prepared.
So, you're going to Lion King. My nitpick of the night, because I get real caught up on these shitty little things that don't even matter at the end of the day. It's not an era if it's like only a couple of years.
Says a couple of years, yeah.
An era is a fucking just millions of years. It could have said century. It's that easy.
It says era.
Like,
Each
they
space
wanted
is an era.
They wanted
There's
era
a vague
because
time frame.
yeah, because they didn't
that
know what
has
it meant,
passed.
and they wanted
Right.
it to sound cool. But that's just
Okay, so things we like.
these are really pretty.
First of all, I actually
The
do.
soundtrack was amazing.
The
The score is just fantastic. No, first of all, the art, what is there, is really awesome. Definitely innovative in, the different, even though there's not really a backstory per all of these civilizations or these groups, they still look different.
Yeah.
And they do certainly each have, with their subtle differences,
Like
but they dictate a play style.
Yes, they do. So that I really like, because there's nothing worse than trying to play a worker placement game and everything's an option. Because you're like, how do I do any of this?
Right. So it's like, I can tell by, from my victory conditions, I'm like, okay, build buildings, have administrators.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
You know what's awesome
To keep you guys in harmony with administrators. Mine was basically, just have a lot of ways to go back in time. My other one was actually, and I swapped it out, was I had to have anomalies. I had to have 2 anomalies by the end of it. But it gave me 6 points, so it just evens it out.
Well, that's not fun.
So it allows you
Nope.
to do all kinds of cash-ins.
Yes.
Take huge hits.
Yes.
But
And it's
all
focus
for
on
focus
on other areas. So I guess this kind of is it's not really a minor complaint.
That group's all about time travel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I wish there were more options, more paths of victory. Not really, just like more leaders to do things, more victory conditions, stuff like that, which is always a good thing. There is an expansion out for the game. I don't know if it adds any of that. It's not even out yet. It was at Gen Con, because that's where I picked this up. I just didn't get it because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it.
Right.
But anyway, back to things I like. I literally love everything about this game.
Oh, can I say my path of?
Oh yeah.
Just not to say that like
'Cause we were talking about
condescendingly or anything, but I just thought it was funny because you guys are like, oh yeah, mine's like this way and this way, and I'm the path of dominance. I was super nice.
Yeah, you were
I was like,
heavy morale.
Captain Wolf is the kindest man you could ever meet.
It's like,
what?
and then for every worker.
Remember you could trade in 2 water for a power core?
Oh, you never did that.
I never needed it. I had a lot of
So
water.
it's like, you just have more workers and have good morale.
Lots of
That's
happiness,
you
yeah.
just want lots of productive people.
And which I didn't realize that had I known that I would have made them wake up way sooner because I would have cashed in on those 2 points. I didn't know you could keep getting it.
Yep.
The happier you
Every
made
single
them.
time. Every single
I
time you would do it.
spammed that.
So I gotta say, for a worker placement game, this is one of the most thematic worker placement game. Like they really nailed time travel, like to a T. The fact that hey, you can borrow stuff from like your future self.
That's pretty clever.
And then you have to go back and pay it back, otherwise it'll create a paradox. And paradoxes are bad, which
Yeah.
create anomalies. Which I just love that. Like everything that hey, yeah, you're gonna get a temporary bonus, but if you don't fix it, then you're gonna eat it.
Yeah. You're gonna reap what you sow.
Just my favorite thing about this game, I really like the theme, is how there's no action, there's no thing you do in this game that feels like, oh, that was kind of forced in here. Everything is integrated. Like what I said about, like, oh, you need exosuits to go out and do stuff out in the world that's dying to protect your people. And, okay, well, if you want to do stuff and build up your colony to help you out there, you need to go and construct buildings by getting resources, and you do that, and then you need to do actions here. Everything is just so integrated, and it's such a smart game that it's easily one of my favorite games, just solely off that. I knew it was going to be one of my favorites once we played it the first time. Sorry, go. I was go ahead.
I was just gonna say even down to the name Anachrony because we've Googled it twice. And it's basically just that rift in time. The short of it is being able to jump forward and fast forward and let's see how that opposite.
Rewind.
Rewind basically. No, there's another
I don't know.
Word name backward. Being able to go backward and forward in time basically.
Right. Almost out of whim, but you need to build buildings that allow you to go back. And it's so cool because there are some actions, like there are some games where you do kind of move on a track, and if you don't build like a super project or do something at that moment, you miss it. This one is like, all right, I'll just, because you can build two yellow buildings, can't remember what they're called, something, and even you could have gone all the way back.
Right.
If you had workers to continue to push back.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing is ever lost. But you got to research for that, as well as gather resources to be able to build these super projects. Which that was my only plan, was super projects. I was like, that's the only way I'm gonna win here.
Yeah.
Well, if you hadn't
when you
done
got
it-
that one as your first, I was like, well, I know what he's doing.
Right. And I remember the first time we played, like, not only does this kind of dictate, but it doesn't dictate your whole game. It's just, I'll just make sure to do that. But the buildings you build affect your strategy, and you build an engine.
Right.
You sit here, you're like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be efficient at that.
Right.
Kat was very efficient at gathering water as well as morale.
That was the first thing I made sure to do. I was like, listen, if we're gonna be some happy motherfuckers up
You
here.
were efficient also at water, and
Very.
Yeah, my thing was I wanted to get little victory point engines, and then I just wanted to cash them, and then I was like, if I do that early, at the end of this game, I'm going to have a bunch.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the other time we played this, that's what I did, was keep people in-house and work it, and I think you did stuff outside.
Yeah, I was more super project focused.
Yeah, and it's funny because multiple paths to victory, nothing feels weak. Nothing feels like, oh, I should have done that strategy because it was better or something. It's like everything is a valid option, which is just another way this game is super balanced.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't too far behind you guys, really. It was like 31 to 48, wasn't it?
Yep, we both ended at 48. So.
I think if a game can keep it that balanced, because I really, like I said, I had no goal. I was just playing to play the game. I know that there are things I could have done to be better. Like, I could have probably, but I didn't want to get, all upset about it.
Hell, even... Like, you don't even have to do any of this. You can just focus all on this and try and get your bonus.
That's pretty much what I was
There is a
doing.
max. Yeah, the max for your secondary is 30. But that's, if I just sat here and hoarded because my secondary was the
Could you imagine having
Neutronian.
30 people?
Well, yours was a little bit different. You could have, though.
Yeah.
And and then you can also focus on these, which, Devin and I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well,
I got 1. Yeah.
3, sorry, he got 3. We tied on 1.
That's why that was the main reason I held on to those 2 researchers. I was thinking about building an early super thing, but then I was like, well, if I just hold on to this until the end of the game, maybe no one else will think about that, and I'll get that extra 3 points.
Yes. Yeah. I did. I actually didn't expect you to have more buildings than me. I was like, because these count.
Yeah.
The super projects fill up that. So I was like, oh, I got 6, and you had 7, and I was like, damn it. He had 1 more. I miscounted. I don't know. I absolutely love this game. I'm trying to think of really anything else. Like, it is you have to be very efficient every single turn. And if unfortunately, that could be a negative depending on who you are. Because if you're not efficient every turn, you're going to fall behind.
But like I said, just a little bit, because here's what I did. Like, I really focused on this, and then I was sending like maybe 2 people out. You guys were sending like 3 or 4.
There was one time I sent out 5.
Yeah,
I was like,
and I was
need to do
sending
this.
So you sent out 5 at one point.
Yeah.
Max I ever sent out 2 at some points.
Yeah.
And I was still able to keep up with you. So I don't think you'll find so behind unless you're just literally not trying.
Yeah, like right.
Like literally just like I'm only gonna do nothing.
Right. And the thing is so we actually just played base Anachrony. Because you had brought up, the last time we played this, you said that you don't think this game has replayability. You think if you play it again, it's going to be dull and you're going to do the same thing over and over.
I think if you do not switch your people, yes it will.
Like
if you do not trade off, I think you're going to get tired of being like, oh, I need to do morale again.
Well,
I think it depends on the people you play with. Because I see this game being very attractive to a certain demographic.
Yes, very much so.
So for me,
a lot of people's top 10s that I've been seeing on the board game group I'm on Facebook, and then there was only one video I've seen on YouTube so far. No one has mentioned this game, like, in their list. People have been commenting, and they're like, hey, what about Anachrony? This is almost like a flash in, it's not a flash in the pan, because it's still, like, it's noticed, it's just people, I think it was just too heavy. Like, when you see a box like this, you're like, oh, dear God.
See, no, when I see a box like this, I'm like, oh, simple. And then you open it and you're like, fuck.
I would never think of a big box like that to be simple.
I guess I think design-wise, because obviously I'm not the aficionado.
Yeah, it's not a busy. It's not a busy box. I would agree with you in that your initial. Oh, I need to make sure, but I think you become more efficient at that. That allows you to explore alternate paths. Maybe. But I think the cycle of the buildings keeps it fresh.
I suppose, yeah.
If you, because like I did a completely different strategy.
Really, those are just a means to an end to me.
Well, yeah, but they allow you to do things. But so let's say yes, after a couple games, 3, 4, it's gonna become stale. Well, there are a bunch of actual variants. So I'll talk about the variants real quick. The gameplay variant that turns, you flip these over, and now you get different actions based on where you place your anomalies.
Well, I didn't know there was a variant.
Yeah, it's called the alternate timeline.
Well, then
variant.
Yeah.
So you place it here, and then like, so you actually, unlike here where you just go wherever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This goes in order. So if you go there, nothing. But the second one, you would gain a paradox. So that sucks. And then then you would get, you can receive an additional asset, and then you can get victory points based on how that works. So, and they're all different too.
Right.
So I don't know if all of them stay like that, or if it's just a few that just, hey, in that era it's an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, hey, victory point. Oh, you lose a morale. You get the resource twice. Gain a paradox, a point.
Yeah.
So that's just a variant.
Yeah.
That right there. The other variant is instead of getting your starting assets, that just your base on your path, there are cards that you hand out, and the cards you get give you starting assets. There's an endgame condition asset. Oh, what's this one? Players have more control over what will be worth additional victory points. Instead of selecting 5, you deal them, and then people get to choose. So those are just variants to change the game a little bit. But there are also 2 modules that the base game comes with. One is a 1-player mode. You can play this game by yourself, and it has a whole separate board. It's called the Chronobot. That just completely changes how you would play the game, because obviously there has to be like a dummy player or something playing against you. But another one that I really want to try is called the Doomsday module, which adds another board. Players can truly take humanity's fate into their hands by conducting various experiments. They can actively influence the event chain leading up to the impact, which can potentially lead to mitigating its effects completely. However, not all paths share the vision of saving Earth from the second cataclysm. Some rather see it as a way to overcome their rival paths once and for all. So it makes it a little bit more cutthroat. So I guess a negative thing could be that there's not a whole lot of player interaction. The game is very lenient, which I like, is that, yeah, you kind of like, hey, I'm going to take this spot and now it's a free spot for me. But I can still build, and I just spend the water. And if you both block that, then, I can go here and spend the water and still do something. So that's pretty much all. Blocking each other is kind of the only thing that interacts us. But it seems like the Doomsday module allows us to be like, trying to save humanity or trying to bring humanity down. So not only can you play with different variants, you can play with modules.
Did I know that when
I hadn't brought it up. So because I was curious when we played it again if it would.
Well, knowing that obviously.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying I wanted to see if the base game was still just as fun, and I think it was a lot more fun because we all didn't have anomalies. We all didn't have anything left over. We were a lot more efficient, which I like. So I really have nothing else
I'm good
to talk about. So scale 1 to 10.
I'll give it a 9.
9?
I'll give it a 7.
7? I'm giving it a 9 as well. That's what I gave it the first time, and it hasn't changed. This is a very, very solid game.
I'd probably give it like a 2.
Game for me. I'm really glad that I'm surprised no one tried to take first player. I thought about it so many times.
I was surprised too.
I was like, but I wanted to do other things. I'm like, I can't just go there and spend water to take it from it.
I never thought it was necessary for me. I was like, I never felt the need to be like, oh, I absolutely have to do something.
Luckily, it turned out to not be necessary for me because he didn't evacuate before me. So I was like, oh,
I was like,
get the negative 3 points, bitch. Which is the only reason we tied. It's the only reason. So, but yeah, 9, 9, 7. So average of
4.
8.7?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, pretty close. So, that's it, everyone. That is our thoughts on Anachrony. Tell us what you think of the game in the comments below. But other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you want to support us, you can go ahead and click that link to go to my Patreon account. If you have any suggestions, you can go ahead and click the link in the show notes below to go to my Board Game Geek list. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.